Is Diddy safe? Not in your life. Not in his life. What could happen to him? Could the same fate befall him that happened to that other guy whose name we don't mention, whose name begins with the letter E, the fifth letter? I'll just refer to this as E. Okay? The guy that was obviously the victim of a homicide, no matter how you look at this. There are 4 types or styles of death, modalities of bringing about a death. Think of the acronym NASH. Natural, accidental, suicide, homicide. NASH. Actually, unexplained, so NASHU. Unexplained kind of goes without saying. Natural, accidental, suicide, homicide. Natural, pretty much you can rule out. Accidental, unless you're trying to garrot yourself. Suicide, self-harm, but homicide. Homicide is death brought by the hands or the operation of another. In fact, you do know that when the death certificate is issued for somebody who has received the death penalty, it says cause of death or homicide. And in the particular case of, we see a couple of things, petechial hemorrhaging. This is the pressurized, the sclera, the little hemorrhagic little bursts in the eye, and you see this, and you see it from trauma that has been induced by this pressure, which causes blood pressure to rise. You also saw this thing called the hyoid bone. Very interesting. The hyoid bone. What's the hyoid bone? The hyoid bone is the only bone that is not connected to anything. It's underneath the mandible right here. In fact, if you drop right down below your chin and go all the way to the back, it's this floating kind of I think of it looks almost like a wishbone kind of sort of, but it's not. And whenever it's fractured, it means that this is strangulation. And usually anterior to posterior strangulation. Thyroid cartilage also shows fractures. In the case of, he was absolutely offed. Absolutely. None of that could have been possibly done by the usual. But there's another way. It's very easy to dispatch of somebody. First and foremost, in any kind of review of what's going on, you have to ask yourself the question, why do people select certain sites for things to happen? If somebody were to disappear, one day Mr. Diddy, Mr. somebody just, in the case of him, one day he just disappears. Who would notice? You have plausible deniability. I don't know what happened to him. The folks who run the show say, I don't know what happened to him. He was here just a while ago. He was here and he's not here anymore. I don't know what happened. Huh. No body, no. It's not corpus delicti. That's a different phrase, but it's a different dynamic. He's just gone. He's just gone. And you can say, huh. And the next thing you know, because we have the attention span of a man, he'll be forgotten. But when you have somebody dispatched in front of you, sometimes there are cases where you want them to be found. Look at the case of Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa, they did not want you to find him. They want you to think whatever you want. But he could have just as easily been found with evidence of trauma, but he wasn't. So you got to ask yourself, you always want to ask, why are these people dispatched in front of you? And in the case of our friend, he was ceremoniously dispatched in front of everyone in a federal, basically a detention center. Not the same one that Mr. Diddy is in, but another one. In front of everyone. The number one most important prisoner who has evidence of the most important people involved in the most despicable of activities, all of a sudden is supposedly the victim of self-harm. Now, I'm not going to go into that one. That case is so deep, especially when you look at who his roommate was, etc., etc. But remember, that was done, and to this day, you had the Attorney General, Bill Barr, look at you and say, well, I think there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. It is exactly as it was portrayed. Unbelievable. As we say in West Tampa, que cojones, the nads, the chutzpah, okay? That notwithstanding. Now next, there's something which is even more interesting. And when it comes to wanting to dispatch somebody, once you are there, that's why it's critical that bail is denied. Because all of this magic, and it's an interesting word, if you look at the black arts, the black magic, the black arts, if you will, of poisoning. Poisoning is a wonderful thing. There's something called noose on a bun. Noose on a bun. What does that mean? What is noose on a bun? The expression goes back to years ago when people who are, of course, purveyors of the black arts recognize that when you have someone in a setting and you provide this person with what appears to be a substance, maybe a substance that seems rather benign, but it's not. When it is mixed and combined with another substance, then in that particular case, there might be a toxic combination, kind of like a binary compound. So they come in, they have, let's say, what appears to be water, 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 but it's not. And it mixes on day 5 with something else, and whatever the chemical change or whatever the particular combination provides this lethal mix. And the substances will break down into potassium. So things that are normally found. No outside pathology. Not like strychnine, not cyanide. Cyanide is a very difficult thing to do because when you open up the body, it smells like almonds and it's very strong. And you can always tell. This has been going on since the days of Rasputin. I mean, this is nothing. Anything can be done. And there's also something which is also important to understand. Listen to me carefully here. He's on suicide watch. That means that if something were to happen, because remember in the case of, he was taken off suicide watch. And then that happened. But since they're saying this, even though it's kind of sort of maybe procedural, if anything were to happen, they would say, oh, well, there you go. Just as we said, we warned you. We warned you. We told you. Okay. Yes, we did. We told you. We told you this. We warned you this. Okay. All right. Interestingly, yes, it's very interesting. This is what is so fascinating about what we're seeing right now. This is what is so fascinating about what we are seeing. This is what's fascinating. Now, many people will look at this particular this individual and say, well, he really is not that big of a deal to me. A lot of my white friends and compatriots, or not just necessarily white, but people in my generation, they'll look at him and they'll say, well, who is he? What does he do? He was integral. Pick every entertainer in the world of black entertainment and music royalty. He was there. And then from Oprah, and Oprah, by the way, she was friends with Bill Cosby, Weinstein, Russell Simmons, Diddy, everybody. There's people like Tyler Perry. All those others. And the one who spoke so, and you're going to be hearing about this, but the one who spoke so eloquently about this, Cat Williams, this is a guy who I hope he doubles up on his security, because what he knows and what he has said in the past is so See, because nothing that you say protects you from any kind of harm coming. It actually sometimes makes you more amenable to it, or more susceptible to it. You're going to find not only that Diddy was involved in the most despicable of things with other people, but that other people knew about it and nobody seemed to care, and nobody came forward, and nobody did anything in the least to stop it. And then with that comes again, because remember the two most important illegal practices and policies today: human trafficking and extortion. And he has freak-offs with the blue chip, the royalty, with music royalty. Do you know what I can do? What I can do to affect a billion-dollar industry, to sway political endorsements, to blackmail others. I mean, it is. You take this guy and Diddy and put them together, and you will see what we have known for the longest time. They are sent out. They are allowed to do terrible things and to document it. And then when they become a problem, when they get in the way, when they're of no use, and the question is, where is the documentation? And where's j.lo and all? A lot of people do. Where's j.lo? J.lo was so... Remember years ago, she goes, well, I have nothing to do with this. You're going to hear names of people who were a part and parcel of his world, who were never really talked about before until now. And you're going to be asking the question, well, what's happening? And believe it or not, this is going to be one of the most important cases ever. And it's not going to be allowed to go away as easily as our friend, because with his case, nobody knew who he was. But with Diddy, everyone knows who he is. See? So sit back, my friends. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for focusing. Thank you for... Make sure you're subscribed to Lionel Legal. By the way, this is our sister. We have Lionel Nation for more political and other things. But this is kind of like our legal, criminal law focus. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, I beg, beseech, importune, and ask and request and implore that you comment as you see fit.